Police surrounded the bank. Snipers were on rooftops. 23 hostages were trapped inside. And 6 armed robbers were supposedly still in the building. But when the police finally stormed the vault, the criminals had vanished. There were no getaway car or suspects leaving the building. Just an empty bank. With hostages, some lying face down. Some slightly bound with plastic ties. They also found a tunnel leading into the darkness beneath Buenos Aires, and a note, a handwritten note. Nearly $20 million had disappeared, and the thieves were already gone. Welcome to the Heist Vault. Behind every heist there is a story. Some end in prisons, some end in graves, and some simply disappear. It was a hot summer afternoon in the quiet Buenos Aires suburb of Acassuso. January 2006. Inside the Banco Rio branch, everything felt ordinary. Customers waited in line. Tellers counted stacks of cash. Security cameras blinked silently from the ceiling. Nothing about that afternoon suggested it would become one of the most infamous robberies in modern history. But at exactly 2 p.m., 6 men walked through the bank doors. They looked like ordinary customers. No masks. No panic. No rush. Just 6 men calmly stepping into a bank. Minutes later, 23 people inside would become hostages. Police cars would surround the building. Helicopters would roar overhead. And Argentina would watch live on television as the situation unfolded. But what no one, not the police, not the hostages, not even the media outside, realized was that the robbery they were witnessing was already over. Because beneath the bank, the thieves had already built their escape. And by the time police stormed the building, the robbers would be gone, vanished, through a tunnel, leaving behind an empty vault, a stunned police force, and one of the boldest heists ever attempted. This is the story of the Banco Rio robbery, a crime so daring, so strange, and so carefully planned, that for a moment it looked like the perfect crime, until one small betrayal brought the entire operation crashing down. Every great heist begins with a single idea, and the Banco Rio robbery began inside the mind of a man named Fernando Araujo. But Araujo wasn't the kind of criminal people expected. He wasn't a violent gangster. He wasn't a career bank robber. In fact, Araujo had once lived a completely different life. He was an artist, creative, intelligent, curious. Friends described him as someone who loved puzzles, someone fascinated by strategy, systems, and the challenge of outsmarting authority. And somewhere along the way, Araujo became obsessed with a question. Not how to rob a bank, but how to commit the perfect robbery. The kind of robbery that didn't rely on violence. The kind where intelligence defeated security. The kind that left everyone asking the same question afterward. How did they do that? For Araujo, Banco Rio in Acassuso became the perfect target. It was wealthy, located in an affluent neighborhood, and most importantly, beneath the bank ran a network of drainage tunnels connected to the city's sewer system. Araujo didn't just see a bank. He saw an exit. But no one pulls off a robbery like this alone. Araujo needed a team. And slowly, carefully, he recruited the men who would help execute his vision. One of them was Mario Vitezell Lanes. Charismatic, confident, and known for his ability to talk his way out of almost anything. During the robbery, he would later become famous in the media as the man in the gray suit. Another member was Ruben Alberto de la Torre, known as Beto. He had experience with logistics and construction, skills that would become extremely useful later. Then there was Sebastián García Bolster, nicknamed the Martian, a quiet figure who preferred working behind the scenes. And Julian Zalacaveria, another trusted member of the group. Each man had a role. Each man had a purpose. But none of them fully understood how ambitious the plan really was. Because Araujo wasn't just planning a robbery. He was planning a stunning disappearance. For months, the crew studied the Banco Rio branch. They watched employees arrive at work. They observed security routines. They learned when the bank was busiest and when it was vulnerable. But the most important work happened underground. Quietly, secretly, patiently. The crew began preparing an escape route. An 18-meter tunnel. It connected the bank to the city's drainage system, a dark maze running beneath the streets of Buenos Aires. It wasn't glamorous work. It was slow, dirty, and dangerous. But when the tunnel was finished, the plan finally had its most important piece. Because once the robbery started, the escape route would already be waiting. January 17, 2006. Just after 2 p.m., the first member of the crew walked into Banco Rio. Then another. Then another. 6 men in total. To anyone watching, they looked like ordinary customers. But once inside, everything changed. Weapons appeared. Employees were ordered to the floor. Customers froze in shock. Within minutes, the bank was under their control. 23 people were taken hostage. Police were called. And outside the building, chaos began to grow. Sirens echoed through the streets. Television crews arrived. Helicopters circled above the bank. To the outside world, it looked like a typical hostage situation. A dangerous standoff between police and armed robbers. But inside the bank, the atmosphere was strangely calm. Because they weren't in a hurry. One of the robbers even apologized to customers for the inconvenience. They knew something the police didn't. Time was on their side. While negotiators spoke with police outside, the real work had already begun. Inside the bank vault were 147 safety deposit boxes. Each one belonging to a customer. Each one holding something valuable. Cash. Gold. Jewelry. Family heirlooms. Years, sometimes decades, of savings. One by one, the robbers opened them. Bags filled with money. Jewelry disappeared into backpacks. Precious items vanished into sacks. By the time they were finished, the estimated value of everything taken was staggering. Somewhere between $15 and $20 million. But the money wasn't the most impressive part of the plan. The escape was. For hours, police believed the robbers were still inside the bank. Negotiations continued. They believed they were dealing with a typical hostage standoff. The bank was surrounded. Snipers were positioned on rooftops. Negotiators were trying to talk to the robbers. News helicopters circled overhead. From the outside, everything looked like a tense situation that could explode at any moment. Inside the bank, 23 hostages sat on the floor under the watch of armed men. Or at least, that's what the police believed. After hours of negotiations, the robbers suddenly stopped responding. No demands. No movement. No voices. Just silence. At first, police thought the robbers were preparing something dangerous. Maybe they were planning to move the hostages. Maybe they were preparing for a shootout. So tactical units prepared to storm the building. When the police finally moved in, everything happened fast. Officers rushed through the doors. Weapons raised. Expecting armed criminals waiting inside. But what they found was completely unexpected. The hostages were still there. Shaken, but alive. And the robbers? Gone. Inside the vault, they found empty safety deposit boxes. Abandoned equipment. And a note left behind. A handwritten message. It read, En barrio de ricachones, sin armas en rencores, es solo plata y no amores. Roughly translated, it means, in a neighborhood of rich people, without weapons or grudges. It's just money, not love. Then investigators noticed something inside the vault area. There was a hole. A tunnel. It led into the drainage system beneath the bank. That's when the realization hit. While hundreds of police officers were outside. While the entire country watched the standoff on live television. The robbers had quietly climbed into the tunnel. Slipped into the drainage system beneath the city. Using inflatable boats to navigate the tunnels. They disappeared into Buenos Aires. By the time police realized what had happened, the gang was already miles away. Argentina had just witnessed one of the most daring robberies in its history. For months, the robbery looked almost impossible to solve. The public was fascinated. News programs replayed the story again and again. People debated the genius of the plan. Some even admired the robbers. They had used toy guns. They had avoided harming the hostages. And they had outsmarted an entire police force. It felt like something out of a movie. The perfect crime. But perfect crimes rarely stay perfect. Because the biggest weakness in any criminal plan is human nature. Months after the robbery, something unexpected happened. Police received a tip. Not from an informant or an undercover agent, but from someone very close to the criminals. The wife of Ruben, Beto, the law Tory. According to reports, she had discovered something that made her furious. Beto had been unfaithful. And in anger, she revealed the secret. She told police about the robbery, about the gang, about the money. That single betrayal triggered a wave of arrests. One by one, the members of the crew were captured. The mastermind, Fernando Araujo, Mario Vitetzel Lanes, Beto de la Torre, and the others involved. By 2010, most of the gang had been convicted. Sentences ranged from 7 to 15 years in prison. But even with the arrests, one mystery remained. When investigators finally tracked the money, they discovered something shocking. Most of it was gone. Out of nearly $20 million stolen, police recovered only about $1.5 million. The rest had disappeared, hidden, spent, or possibly still buried somewhere unknown. Even today, no one knows exactly where it went. The Banco Rio heist remains one of the most fascinating robberies in modern history. Not because of violence, not because of chaos, but because of intelligence. A carefully planned operation, a daring escape beneath an entire city, and a moment when a small group of criminals managed to outsmart the system. For a while, it worked. But somewhere out there, most of the stolen money still exists. And the full story of where it went may never be known. Behind every heist there is a weakness. And this one is a woman scorned,